Alright, these are examples from 8-2, and so I'm going to go through these. I'll explain each step, and hopefully this will help you. So when you look at number 18, it says 4x minus 8 divided by x squared minus 2x. So remember, the first thing we want to do is we want to factor the numerators and denominators. So when you factor the 4x minus 8, remember the first thing we should always check for is the greatest common factor. So I can pull a 4 out of that, and then I get x minus 2, because if I multiply that, 4x, and 4 times negative 2 would be negative 8. On the bottom, I can pull out an x when I check for greatest common factor, and again I get x minus 2. So we factored those. Once you have them factored, the next thing you want to do is cancel any like factors from the numerator and denominator. In this case, the x minus 2's are the same, and so my answer is 4 over x. Now remember, we're supposed to list our restrictions on these, and the restrictions, remember, are that x cannot equal what makes the denominator 0. So what makes x equal to 0 would be 0, and what makes x minus 2 equal to 0 would be positive 2. You can do that two ways. You can set x minus 2 equal to 0 and solve it, so add 2. So x equals 2. Or you can use the shortcut, which is the opposite of this divided by the number. So the opposite, negative 2, is 2 divided by the number in front, which is 1. So that would be the answer for number 18. If you look at 20, now we have to factor this x squared minus 3x over x squared minus 12x plus 36. So there is no greatest common factor. And so if you recognize this is the difference of two squares, that factors into x plus 6 and x minus 6. You could have used the x method, which says negative 36 times 1 is negative 36. There is no b, so that's 0. And the only way you can get 0 is if the factors are opposite. So opposite factors that multiply together to give you negative 36 are negative 6 and positive 6. So either way, you get the same factor. On the bottom, again, most of you use the x method, so that would be 36 and negative 12. And so that would be negative 6 and negative 6. So x minus 6 and x minus 6. Again, we factored, so now we cancel like factors, 1 for 1. And so our answer is x plus 6 over x minus 6. And our restrictions are x cannot equal what makes this 0, which would be 6, and the same thing for that. So there's only one restriction in that case. So that would be number 20. Number 22, negative 2x squared minus 9x over 4x squared minus 81. So when we go to factor this, remember, always check for greatest common factor. And the first term, you always want the first term to be a positive. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to pull out a negative x instead of just an x. So then I get 2x plus 9, because negative x times negative, or 2x would be negative 2x squared, and negative x times 9 would give you the negative 9x. The same thing if you're doing the x method. Anytime that first term is negative, you should pull a negative sign, and even a negative 1 out. This one, again, if we do the x method, that would be 81 times the negative 4, so negative 324, and 0. And so then those have to be the same, so you can just take the square root of that. But then you're going to have to build the box. So remember, the box that would be 4x squared and negative 81. So this would be, I believe, 18 times 18. So we can pull it, and then we put an x with those. So we get 2x, and then minus 9, and then a 2x plus 9. It'd be much easier if you can recognize that that's the difference of two squares. Because remember, if this is in the form of a squared minus b squared, that becomes a plus b and a minus b. So the square root of both, so 2x plus 9 and 2x minus 9. Makes it really fast that way. So now we factor, cancel like factors. So we get negative x over 2x minus 9. And then our restrictions are x cannot equal the opposite of this divided by that, so negative 9 halves and positive 9 halves. So that's the simplifying. Now let's try some multiplication. So let's look at 26. So 26 says x squared minus 2x minus 8 over 9x squared minus 16 times 3x squared plus 10x plus 8 over x squared minus 16. So again, when we do multiplication, we still factor it like we did before. So I'm not going to do the x method. That factors into x minus 4 and x plus 2. This is the difference of two squares because they're both, I can take the square root of both. So that's 3x plus 4 and 3x minus 4. You can do the x method on both of those. The next one, let's see, that would be so let's do the x method on that. So 24 and 10. So that would be 6 and 4. Have to build the box. So 3x squared plus 8, 6x, 4x. This would be 3x plus 4 and x plus 2. So 3x plus 4 and x plus 2 over, again, this is the difference of two squares, so x plus 4 and x minus 4. Cancel like factors. We have an x minus 4. There is no x plus 2 on the bottom. 3x plus 4, we have 1. And x plus 2, there's not. So my answer is x plus 2 times x plus 2 and 3x minus 4 and x plus 4. And my restrictions would be x cannot equal negative 4/3, positive 4/3. Again, you do the opposite of this, divided by that. Negative 4 and positive 4. So those would be my restrictions. So next, let's do a division problem. I'm going to do number 30. So 30 says x plus 2 over x plus 4, or x minus 4, divided by, and then 1 over 3x minus 12. So we factor, we can't factor x plus 2. We can't factor x minus 4. Now remember, division becomes multiplication, and we flip this over, so the 3x minus 12 is going to go up top. As I factor that, the greatest common factor is 3, so I get x minus 4 and 1. Like factors, there's no x plus 2's, there's no 3, but there is an x minus 4. So we get 3 times x plus 2 all over 1, which we don't need to put that, so we can just put 3 times x plus 2. You could also distribute that and get 3x plus 6, but you don't need to. Our restrictions are x cannot equal, what makes this 0? 4. This can't be equal to 0, but what makes this equal to 0 is also 4, so that doesn't change, so that's our only restriction. Then you had some where you have to solve the equations, so let's look at ones like that. Let's do 34. 34 says x squared plus 3x minus 28 over x plus 7 and x minus 4. Equals negative 11. Okay? So, as we go to do this, the bottom's already factored, so we factor the top. That factors into x plus 7 and x minus 4. That gives me my x squared, my minus 28, 7x, and minus 4x is 3x. And x plus 7 and x minus 4. So if we cancel like factors, x plus 7s, x minus 4. So everything canceled, so we just get 1 on this side. Now here the variables canceled and there was nothing left. So remember, that would mean that if they were equal, there'd be infinite solutions. The only thing that wouldn't work would be negative 7 or 4. But since they're not equal, that would mean that there is no solution to that problem. And let's go through one more. Let's do number 38. 38 says 1 over 25x squared minus 49 divided by, so another division problem, 10x minus 14. So we have to factor this. Can't factor 1. Now, here it's really nice if you can do the, recognize that that's the difference of two squares, because otherwise you're going to have to go 25 times 49. You still get 0. So if I did the x method, it'd be 25 times negative 49, and so it's 0. So anytime it's 0 on the bottom, you would know that it's the square root of whatever number you got on top. But if we can recognize the difference of two squares, I can take the square root of both. That would be 5x plus 7 and 5x minus 7. Times, going to flip this over. Here, factor this, pull out the greatest common factor, which would be 2. And we get 5x minus 7 over x. Cancel like factors. So the 5x minus 7's cancel. So we're left with 2 over x times 5x plus 7. And our restrictions would be x cannot equal opposite this divided by that, so negative 7/5, and then positive 7/5. It can be equal to 0. And remember, when you do division, you also have to include that because it was a 1 point in the denominator, but we already have that, and so that would be the answer. So hopefully this has helped you to be able to see how to do those. Be careful, make sure you factor completely, and then cancel. Once you factor, it works pretty easy. It's the factoring that causes problems. So hopefully this helped.